Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to Let's Talk Artist to Artist. I am your host, Charlene Evans. I am poet Cheeky Baritone, and tonight I have the distinct honor of interviewing an artist that I have loved over the years since 2005, and her name is Ty Scott King. So, after reading Ty's bio, I'm going to officially bring her in and we're going to get this interview started. So, a little bit about Ty. If you are following me and you do not know who Ty is, I want to introduce Ty to you and I want you to be introduced to Ty. There needs to be a connection. I want you all to know about her. So, Ty is a versatile, award winning artist who has fine tuned and balanced between poetry and hip hop and referred to by many as the Maya Angelou of this generation. She has shared platforms with a variety of notable industry greats, awed international audiences, and performed at the United States Pentagon. Ty has successfully showcased her poetic talent on the National Poetry Slam level, founded and toured in the hip hop and poetry group Platinum Souls, hosted an internationally broadcast television show, and served as a host of her own radio show. Her poetry has been featured in national radio ads for corporate giants such as Pizza Hut, McDonald's, and Aveeno. She has appeared on major television networks such as BET and TV One and has garnered multiple long running successes on the Billboard music charts. She is also a published author and accomplished speaker. Ty is showing no signs of slowing her pace as she continues to tour and promote her music and books. Her mission is to inspire others to overcome their trials while boldly sharing their God given gifts and talents. Welcome to Let's Talk Artist to Artist, Ty Scott King.
Aw,
What's up,
thank you,
girl?
Chicky. So good to hang out with you and all the people watching.
Yes,
Hey, everybody.
I am so happy. Yes, everyone. That's right. But but it's all good. They're going to come on eventually. But
Yes,
we are
yes.
excited to have you here and to just talk about who you are as an artist. And I always start, let's talk artist to artist, with how I have met my guests, how I connected with my guests. And Ty, we met back in 2005 at God's Girl Network with CC Michaela in Atlanta, Georgia. Do you remember that?
I do remember that. I was thinking about that not too long ago, actually.
Yes.
So I'm back out here in LA, and I'm like, I wonder what Cece's been
Yeah.
up to. I should find her. Oh my gosh, I remember that.
Yeah, we should. I don't, yes, that was a long time ago. And at the time, Cece had reached out to me. I had just started working corporately. And of course, I had just putting out my first poetry CD. And at the God's Girl Network retreat, all of these poets, including myself, we have a set, we perform, we
Mhm.
minister, and then it got to like the last person, and this fireball of an artist comes up, and everybody is like losing their minds. And I'm like, who is she? Who is this girl? And it was you. And I had never heard a sound like that. I mean, it was
Mhm.
crazy. So this big sound coming out, this cute, petite little woman, and then to like talk to you after you've like killed the stage, it's just like, hi, thank you so much. And I'm like, oh my God. So it's just so, it's like the two just really, really don't go together. It throws you off when someone meets you, and then when someone sees you actually minister your gift, it's just mind blowing. So that is like a memory that will forever be embedded in my head when I think about you, Ty.
I think people think I do it on purpose, but I don't. I really don't do it on purpose. It's just I just talk like myself, regular. And then when people
Regular.
are like, oh, you're two different people. I don't feel like I am. I feel like it's a gift. And when
That's
I
just
get up there, it's like, boom, the gift is on display.
yes.
It's
Oh,
like, I
and it
feel like
is.
I'm trying to explain it, but that's all I got.
Well, you have such a voice, and I don't use that term lightly. Lord knows, people who know me knows that I do not use that term lightly. Your voice is very distinct, it's memorable, and it truly brings a sense of conviction in a good way, which is what I really love about your artistry and I love about your ministry.
Thank
So
you.
tell my listeners, the ones who don't know about you, now you are originally from Spanish Town, Jamaica, and now you're currently living in Huntington Beach, California. How in the world did that happen?
So when I was 4, my parents, who were born and raised in Jamaica, 6 kids, decided we're gonna move to foreign, which is what in Jamaica they call America, right? So my dad came first,
Foreign?
and then my mom, yeah, foreign. So I think there's a little delay. So if it sounds like I'm clipping you, I
I can
apologize.
tell. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So when I
No,
was
you're
4,
fine.
my
Go ahead.
parents were like, cool, we're gonna come to America and make a new life there. So moved to Brooklyn from Jamaica in the dead of winter. So that was fun.
Wow. Woo.
I was like,
Yeah.
what is this stuff on the ground and why is it so cold? Um, so we moved to we lived in New York for a few years, and then my family moved down to Miami. We settled down there, as most Jamaicans do, right? Jamaica, New York,
Hmm.
South
Yep.
Florida, and grew up in Miami from the age of 4 to no 8 to 18, and then went off to
Wow.
college in Northern Florida. Went to University of Florida, go Gators, and and after I graduated, I had a friend that I'd met in middle school, and there were a group of us, 5 of us from middle school, high school, college. We're all still friends now. I know it was definitely God. She had moved out here to
Mm.
California. She dropped out of college, moved out here. And when I was done with college, I was like praying, and I wasn't a Christian. I just remember I was dating this guy. We had broken up. I went to sleep that night. I woke up the next morning, and I knew I was supposed to come to California. I was like, I don't know.
Wow.
I'm thinking God is talking to me. Are you there, God? It's me, Ty. So my family was
Wow.
like, go for it. If you go because I'd never visited, they're like, if you go, you don't like it, you have a hard time, whatever. You got 5 siblings, you got parents, we'll chip in like $50 and we'll bring you home. So I had 2 friends here, moved
Wow.
out here to LA area, got saved like within days of arriving here, became a Christian. And
Wow.
yeah, God just started, using my gift for his glory and giving me opportunities through that. And then one day, shortly after 9/11 happened, I'd kind of been feeling a stirring, like it was time for me to move. And my mom was like, I feel like it's time for you to come closer. And so I knew that was a confirmation, because my mom is usually the one that's like, yeah, go be great, live your life, do what you want, just don't die. So,
Hmm. Yeah. Right.
um, so I moved to Georgia because I was like, I'm just not a Florida girl anymore. So I moved to Georgia, Atlanta, and over the course of that time was how you and I met. Left Atlanta after about 8 years, went to Alabama during my 4.5, 5 years, or
Mm.
maybe a bit longer actually. In Alabama, I met my husband. And I'd always wanted to come back to California,
Nice.
but I was like, I may meet a guy who wants to live in California. Like my family's here on the East Coast. If his family's here too, then, how's that going to work? So my husband is born and raised in
Yeah.
Alabama, but he always wanted to live out here in California. So we were praying
Wow.
about where to go. I really love Dothan. It's a very small city in Alabama. If you know where that is, you are amazing.
I do.
Project confirms how amazing you are. So I loved it, but he was born and raised in Montgomery, and just felt like he wanted to experience some different things. So we prayed about it. We felt like God was saying, wherever you go, I'll bless you. And we're like, well, we want to go to Cali. So we
Yeah.
came back out here to Southern California. I don't even know if I visited Orange County ever. I mean, when you live in LA County, it's like, what's in Orange County? Which is not, it's just the neighboring county, but it
Wow.
seems so far. But
Yeah.
God really
Yeah.
definitely brought us here. He wanted us here for sure. And we've been here for,
Awesome.
since 2015. And God has just done some amazing things and connected us with who he wanted us to be connected to. So that was hopefully under 2 minutes of Ty's
Oh
great
no, that
adventure.
was good. I love to hear the how God brings things full circle though, because me being in Atlanta, I never desired to be here ever. I wish I was
Mm.
here when you was here though. That would have been dope. But but yeah, my I was trying to get to the Queen City, and
Mhm.
I would visit Atlanta a lot. And when it was time to, figure out where God wanted me to be, I fought the whole I just want to be in Charlotte and nothing transpired. And when I finally let go and let him do what he wanted to do, I'm here in Atlanta and it has been nothing but an awesome opportunity. So when we really kind of let go and let God and kind
Yeah,
of give up our contingencies,
yes,
he can
absolutely.
really
Because
use us in ways. Yeah.
I thought Atlanta was where I was going to go after college because I'm in Gainesville. Atlanta's not far. Both of my sisters
Yeah.
were there at the time. And God was like, I mean, I just didn't know. So I was open to whatever. I was like, maybe I'll go to Charlotte. Maybe I'll go
Yeah.
here. Maybe I'll go there. And I woke up from that dream and I was like, I'm supposed to go to California. And it seemed
Wow.
so crazy. Like, who's talking to me? What did I like? I do not know what I dreamt. I just woke up and knew what I was supposed to do. And I was like, man, I wish everything in
Wow.
life was this easy.
Was that easy, right? Mm-mm, not hardly. Not hardly. So your voice um has has taken on the form in your gift, rapping, poetry, and voiceover work. Which one came first? And is there one that you enjoy doing more than the other?
Did the chicken or the egg come first?
Right.
Poetry came first. That was the first thing that I knew I could do. So at 8, that's when I discovered that.
Hmm.
Um, and then I would imitate people rapping. You know, you hear stuff on the radio. I mean, I'm going to date myself, but back then it's like we're recording stuff. You know, we're putting it into the radio and we're
Yeah.
recording it on a cassette
Yeah.
and playing it
Yeah.
over and over again, right? So I knew how to mimic people.
Yes.
And I always say that I had MC fantasies, but I didn't necessarily want to be a rapper. I just thought it was cool. Um, and it had like a whole
Okay.
different persona. You know, you're a poet and people expect you like, oh, we're gonna
Hmm.
snap and it's gonna be so laid back. And then you're a rapper and everybody's like, "Wah." So I started writing poetry first and just kind of playing around with the rap thing. And just that wasn't something that I
Mm.
intended to do. It was just a fun pastime just to mimic
Yeah.
people. I never got up and performed like I was a rapper, nothing like that, but I did as a poet. And then out here in LA in my early
Oh
20s,
wow. Okay.
I I discovered the Poetry Lounge and started going there. And that for me was like the breaking into of the poetry world. Like here are all these amazing poets who went on to be on Def Poetry Jam and have their own poetry shows and just amazing things in the poetry world.
Wow.
But it wasn't that laid back type of poetry. I mean,
Yeah.
some people were in there snapping, but everybody mostly was like clapping and it was rowdy poetry. Like,
Yes.
okay, wow, this exists. And then when I moved to Atlanta and I started the group and we started as 3 members, me as a poet, there was a rapper, a singer who also rapped. And then that's actually Aaron J, who I know we're going to talk about the single that he and I have together. So when Aaron left the group, it was like, okay, I feel like there's a hole to be filled because I'm the poet, there's a rapper, but I think I could rap too. So that's how
Mhm.
the rapping came into play as a thing that I am known for. Like, okay, I'm just gonna step up
Wow.
now. Feel like I can do this. I'd been studying
Yeah.
them for the first few months that I knew them, and I felt like I was kind of prepared and ready. So I did have to like learn how to navigate between poetry and rap because it's not the same. You know, you're over a beat.
Right.
You have to be very confined to, those 16 bars. So I had to kind
Yep.
of finagle my way. And there were times when I was like, am I going to be able to do poetry again? Because my brain is like locked into these 16 bars. But yeah, that's how it kind of flowed from poetry to rap, and then meeting someone who heard my voice as a poet and was like, hey, I have opportunities for you as a voiceover artist. And, I think you can use just your regular speaking voice to do these things poetically. So it was a blessing.
Yes.
And it still is a
Yes.
blessing.
Yes, yes. The variety of how you use your voice is not common in artistry.
Mhm.
Sometimes artists can't cross over like that the way you do, and you do it. It feels to me over the years that I've heard you um, navigate through the different ways of showcasing your gift. They all sound like individual parts of you that you were only doing for a long time. You would not think, listening to you, that you have intertwined these three throughout the years. That's just how strong they kind of stand by themselves. And that's pretty
Oh,
dope to me that you're able to do that.
well, I
Yeah.
know when I first like seriously started rapping, I'm thankful that you say that, and thank you for saying that, because I always like to tell the story of when I first started rapping in the group. Like, the guy, my partner in the group, believed in me, but there were other people that were kind of like, no, wait, it's like, Jesus, wait, aren't you Mary's boy? Like, no, aren't you the poet? How are you like? And one person told me, one person who is very well known told me, you shouldn't rap, like straight up.
Wow.
You're not, like, you're just not, that's not a good fit for you. And but I was like, well, I'm in it now, so
Sheesh.
I'm gonna do it.
You couldn't convince
That
me.
sounds
Like, people that don't know you, they would never know that you were so strong in those other arenas. Like, you hold it down pretty tight when it comes to rapping. And I mean, and I wouldn't have never thought, like I said, they all hold up very strongly independently. If somebody was to have you come minister and do poetry, they'll never could never guess that you also are just as strong being a rapper. And same thing with voiceover work. So
I'm
how do you
grateful.
prefer? Yeah, it's an amazing way to showcase your gift, and it's a gift within a gift, because for you to be able to cross over is a gift within a gift. So is
Yeah.
there any one of the three that you prefer to do more than the other?
I think I lean to poetry just because that's like the first gift that I knew I had. So it's precious to me.
Yeah,
But everything builds off
yeah,
of this gift to write. Like, that's the foundation.
yeah.
So at my core, I'm a writer, and I get the opportunity to showcase or share my writing through these different mediums. And when you were saying it's a gift within a gift, like, there definitely are people who, I've been places, and a lot of times I get the opportunity to use all, do everything, do poetry and rap at the same venue or in the same event. But then there's some people who are like, I just want you to come and do some poetry. Great. Like, I really don't, it's not upsetting to me when it's like, wait, why you just want me to come do poetry?
Right.
I'm just glad, one, that you're calling me, because
Yeah.
you don't have to, and two, that I
Right.
get to do this. And so
Yes.
God just creates those spaces, and I go into whatever lane people are calling me to be in. And I don't feel, I think in the beginning I used to feel like, oh, they're trying to kind of dissect me and pull me apart. Like, no, I really love to do this. But over time, I've just been like, okay, Lord, however you want to use me. If this is the way they feel like their people need to hear my voice, cool, I'm good.
No doubt. No doubt. So when it comes down to preparing um for whatever you're going to minister and however you're going to minister it, whether it's poetry, whether it's rap, and I'm really kind of catering this to not necessarily how you prepare now as much as what you had to do when you really wanted to build these three. What do you normally do, or how do you normally prepare whenever you're about to minister for poetry, or when you're preparing to do a voiceover? Is there any similarities or differences in how you prepare?
Yeah, I think it's because of my poetry foundation. Music, like it's weird because I'm gonna rap over music, right? But specifically when I'm writing, if I'm
Yeah.
like say when I was writing rock or shine or any of the other songs that I rapped on, I'll listen to the music for I'll listen to the beat for a couple of times and get it into me, and then I turn the music off because I don't need that to write. What I need to hear are the words I'm supposed to write. Like the
That's good.
beat doesn't dictate the what I'm gonna write. Like I can write it first and then fix it to fall within the parameters of the beat. So with
Yes.
poetry, with rapping, with voiceover, it's the same thing. Like I just want to hear the beat enough times to, okay, this is how it goes, and then I turn it off and I write until it's like, okay, I think I have something, and then I'll kind of turn it back on here and there while I'm writing, and once I know I have the words that I'm supposed to have, then I can play the music and really figure out how it's supposed to go. Um, so I think that's really the biggest through line for all three is the music
Awesome.
kind of becomes the secondary thing to the
Secondary.
writing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And then if I'm
So,
preparing to like actually, do it in person or something, for me, it's important to have that quiet time before I get out in front of people. Because I remember, especially when I was in the group, there were a lot of great people we wanted to take on the road with us. So sometimes the green room was just a lot of people. And for me, I need just those few minutes to steal away to like calm
hmm
my mind because I still get nervous. I've been doing this since I was 8 on a stage, but
absolutely.
I still I still feel those butterflies and I want to be able
Yes.
to hear because there are a lot of times when I'm like I don't know what I'm doing. I know I have options of what to do, but I don't I have thought
Yep.
through my set and prayed about it, but there's been times when I'm like, Lord, when I get up there, whatever comes out of my mouth, that's what you wanted me to say. So
No doubt.
I need
And
that quiet.
that's so dope that you say that because that's key. And that is the dependency of relying on God to minister. Because although you have a preparation of how you want your set to go, you want to honor whatever the request was. You also don't want that to trump whatever God is trying to do. And that
Exactly.
took maturity and growth in me because I would be so set on, okay, I got it. I'm gonna do this poem, and I don't care. And as I grew, I would have it all figured out, but I had a sense of comfort to now say, oh God, I know I prepared a whole set, but you want to do this? Okay, that's what we're gonna do. And that took some years of being just comfortable in myself and in my gift and really trusting God on the level that you gave it to me. And if you want to switch it up, you can switch it up, you know.
Yeah, because I remember going to minister one time. Oh, her face is in my mind, but I cannot think of her name. But she raps, Christian artist, and her whole set, literally, like
Hmm.
she came with a CD that had like 50 tracks on it, and from song to song, she was just flowing like, okay, now it's time to do this. Now it's time to do that. Now it's like she had no set prepared, and that's how she does.
Mm,
And it like the atmosphere shifted when she did her thing
mm,
because she was being so led by the Spirit of God to give the people what they needed in that moment.
mm.
She was like, I have no set. It's not up to me. I prepared. I know all of these 50 tracks I got on here. I'm ready to
Wow.
do any of them God tells me to do. And her whole set, 20 to 25 minutes, that's what she did.
Word.
I was
I
like
love it.
blown away.
Yeah, yeah, that's really amazing. That's amazing. And it's it's very that's a level of discipline and trust with God and doing it enough to be comfortable in that, and and you really got to position yourself to do it enough to be comfortable. Because just like you said, I can totally agree. I've been doing it for a while, but I get nervous every single time. And you know what? I thank God for that. I'm glad I still get nervous. I'm glad I still feel like it's, me going on a first date with somebody and you got all the butterflies. Like I still feel like that whenever I do anything with poetry. It's like that first date butterfly kind of feeling, which, brings me to my point in reference to being an artist. I'm single, I'm never married. And, the way I approach artistry and writing, if God wakes me up at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning to quote poetry and write and walk around, I do all of that. It's just what I do. I ain't waking nobody up. I'm not, it's just I'm at free will to just kind of do what I do. And that literally is my life in poetry and writing. It doesn't matter. I can get up very early or stay up very late, and it is what it is. But I do know when you are married, and in your case, how long have you been married, Todd? That's the first question. And then the second question is, do you feel like there's been challenges in how you approach your gift as it relates to ministry, being married versus being single? Like, are there some adjustments you had to make to accommodate now you're being a married woman versus being single? And kind of talk about that, because I know a lot of artists who are single and, they desire marriage, but, I think sometimes, there's the magic, the magic doorbell. But yeah, but you get the gist of my question. I just want to know, were there challenges or not? How long you've been married, and what advice you can give for someone who has been used to doing artistry the way I do it, being single, and now you're married. Has it changed? Has it not changed? What's been your experience?
Yeah. So that was the doorbell we knew was going to happen, because that was like the sign to say
Yes.
this. Pay attention to this answer right here. um, so I've been married for 8 years. I always, like, people are always like, "How long you been married?" I'm like, I'm counting on my fingers, and my husband is like, I'm like, 2013. You do the math. Just so we've been married 8 years, and it was definitely an adjustment. I think mainly for me, because I got married older. I'd lived like this whole several lifetimes, it seems, as a single person. So I was, set, like, okay, I go to Atlanta a couple times a week. Yeah, it's a 3-hour drive, but who cares? I just get my car and I fly down there, or at the
Mm-hmm.
drop of a dime, if somebody says, "Oh, someone canceled and they couldn't make it to TBN today. Can you be here?" Which has definitely happened before. It was like, okay, cool. I'm going. I got to be at TBN in an hour. No problem. Um, so it's been an adjustment in the sense that, one, my husband is very supportive, and he's also a producer and he raps. So that's a great thing, because he
Wow.
gets a lot of, like,
Mm-hmm.
the creative, I got to get up at 3 o'clock in the
Yes.
morning because the song is talking to me. It's the poem is writing itself in my head. I
Yes.
need to be awake. So he gets that, but he's he is an artist, but he's not an artist that is currently on the level that I'm on. Right. So it's adjustments, like, okay, well, what do you mean they want you to be there, 3 hours early for sound check? Like, come on, you probably, we got some other stuff we need to do. Like, can you just not go an hour before? So kind of like the specifics, where things where I'll go like overboard. Oh, they want me to be there an hour ahead, but I'll get there 2 hours ahead. And he's like, no, let's eat dinner. Let's, you know what I mean? Let's get a nap in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, the caring for yourself stuff that I think, as an artist who had been on the road
Yeah.
pretty much three
Yes.
out of four weekends a month, it was just like, I'll change in
Yeah.
the car, I'll eat in the truck, just, but he's
Right.
very concerned, like, no, I promised your mom I would take care of you. I promised her that I would feed you. I told your dad and your
Wow.
stepdad, I promised all these people. So you got to eat every day, and you have to eat several times a day. I don't, like, oh, you're creating? Okay. I need you to pause the creation and we gonna eat. So
Wow.
it's, to me, it's like, it's not negative things. It's things that are good for me. But
Right,
it's been
right.
an adjustment because it's like,
Yeah.
wait, what? I'm like I'm in the middle of the best line I've ever written in my whole life. Better can wait. So prioritizing, learning how
Right.
to uh,
Yeah.
relax. Because I'm an artist, but I'm also very I took that Enneagram thing, and I'm a one type A personality, so I can get very laser focused and hyper focused on things and like
Mm,
being perfect and excellent. Really, it's not perfect. I want to be excellent in everything
yeah.
God allows me to do. So
Yes.
marriage has, and specifically being married to my husband and the type of person he is, who also wants excellence, but it's like not at the sake of fun and just resting in God. Like he's not trying to add
Mm,
up all your works. Just do your best and let him do the rest. So his easygoing, free flowing personality has been good for me as that artist who
yes.
was just like in hyperdrive. Gotta do it, gotta get it, gotta go, go, go. I gotta go through every door God opens, and I gotta be ready, and I got just be on all the time. So marriage has really, it's been a blessing to me. It's been hard to go at a slower pace, but it's been good.
Yeah. That's powerful. And I think that speaks also to the connection you have with your husband and when you are connected to someone that God has designed for you. Because I know some people just heard what you said and they're like, that was easy because he artist too. I mean, that couldn't have been set up nor perfect. Like, come on, give me a better example. No.
But I didn't meet when I met him. He's a trained chef, so that's what he was doing, working in the restaurant industry. And those
Yeah.
hours are grueling and crazy and all over the place. So we definitely had a
Yes.
lot of
Yes.
scheduling things. Like I'm trying to help him cater something, and then that night he's helping me, at a church to sell CDs. Like it was really crazy. So I do think the challenge was our schedule in the
Gotcha.
in the beginning a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, and but what he brings, having someone to create that balance and you being susceptible as an artist and being okay with recognizing that the balance is not to hurt you but to help you.
Right.
And so I think that's the point I think that you drove home with that example to artists that are single, that desire to be married or that are married, that the balancing, like allowing your mate to help create the balance is a good thing. So,
Yeah.
and when
Yeah.
you are at a point where you're in this tunnel vision of artistry, it is hard to consider what someone else is suggesting because in that moment, you know, I got to get this line out, like you said.
Exactly. Exactly. So, and he being an artist, he
Yeah.
has his moments too. Because I'm like, wait, at 3 o'clock, did you wake up this morning? He's like, yeah, I had to go make this beat. So it's definitely been a blessing to be married
Oh,
to
wow.
someone who is an artist. So I'm not gonna act like, oh, woe is me.
Yeah.
But there's still adjustments because our
A lot of
personalities
people wouldn't
are
agree to
different.
that. Yeah.
And a lot of people don't like being married to artists because artists can be all over the place. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's a personality type
Right.
that is true to creatives.
Yeah. Yes. That is the truth. So with your artistry, I have been a fan and I've told you this since I met you and you have this single that you put out and this is like one that's I go back and listen to a lot. Your single Concrete. I love 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 it because I feel like it has spoken to me over several seasons of my life, and one of the lines that you have in the poem where you say you were chosen so you got to grow, push through the concrete overflow, because once you get to a point to where you push past what's feeling like is weighing you down, you have an opportunity to experience the sun, to experience a season of blooming, being able to break out. And and sometimes people feel like there's no way I'm going to break out, but they do eventually break out. I've been wanting to ask you this. What has been the inspiration for Concrete when you wrote it?
I think, well, first, I clearly remember writing this song that is Shine. So I'd written this song
Mm.
called Shine, and I was super excited about
Mm-hmm.
it. We had recorded at our home studio, and the computer crashed, and we lost all the files to the song. And I just knew, I was like, this song is like, this is a song. We lost that
Wow.
and many other things, right? So for a couple of weeks, possibly a couple months, I was just like, we were so close. Like it was basically done.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
so I remember praying like, Lord, why? Like, what is this? What now? Because I hadn't released, I'd released my second album in 2013, shortly after getting married. And 2015 came around. I was like, I feel like I'm supposed to release something now. So I just want to release one song, what's been on my
Mm.
heart, and that was Shine. So we lost it. And I just remember being really sad about it. And one day I went online, I'd heard of this website where you could like just listen to beats. My husband makes them, but I was like, for inspiration, I'm just listening to stuff. And I heard this track, and there was already a singer on it. And she was singing the hook to Concrete. And I was like, I think a few days prior, I heard someone say
Wow.
that your floor will be your ceiling, or your ceiling will be your floor.
Mm.
Like in
So,
your next level, your ceiling will
mm-hmm.
become your floor. And I was just like, so the chosen, so
Wow.
you gotta go grow came from that. It's like, okay, I'm elevating. There
Wow.
is what I thought was like, whoa, that's a high level, is now about to be like, okay, I'm standing on top of this level now. There's an even higher level. Um, so I can't
Mm.
take the credit for the hook. Brianna Marin wrote it. And so as I listened to the hook pushing through the concrete, it's like, yeah, I've always felt like we live on a level of overflow. Like
Mm.
as Christians, as believers, you know, it's supposed to be this constant overflow. I'm not just talking about like money and things, just the way that we operate in our lives is supposed to feel like we're constantly overflowing and outpouring out. And so when I kept listening to the hook, I was like, okay, I know a lot of um non-Christians would just hear this hook and think it's just something regular, came up through concrete, like, ooh, I've been fighting hard on my life. But it spoke to me
Yeah.
because it's like, that is true. I've been through some things where it's like, man, I can't believe that God brought me out of that. But I wanted it to be more inspirational than I've been fighting all my life. Okay,
Yeah.
I've come through these things, but now it's like, okay, I came up. God is opening doors. Like there's more ahead of me. I can kind of rest in his promises.
Yes.
So Concrete was for me like a fight song, a triumphant song. Like, man, I came up from the concrete. I was chosen. I'm his. Like
Mm.
just such a declaration, and it ministers to me all the time because I'm like, man, to think about the journey, just
Yes.
a little girl from the island of Jamaica where my parents were like, oh, we have this crazy idea. Let's move to America. To grow up in Miami where we lived in the hood where they literally stole clothes off of our clothesline that we had,
Wow.
and we did not live on the first floor.
Wow.
We don't even know how they got up there. Like we lived in the hood of Miami
Wow.
for our first few years there. And just to watch my mom struggle and provide, and my stepdad come into the picture, and how God just ordered steps. And concrete just reminds me like, man, God does that. Like
Mm.
he does these amazing things for us all the time. And we can look back and say,
Yes.
look what he brought me through.
Yes. Yes. Reoccurring that cycle that we have to always remember and remind ourselves that he did it before, he'll do it again. He did it before, he'll do it again, which is what I love about God and his love for us. Um, so you, outside of music, you always have things going on, which is wonderful as an artist. But the poetry and the music is one thing, but you also an amazing author. And you have a new children's book coming out. So talk to me about the inspiration behind doing a children's book, and when can we kind of expect it?
Ooh, okay. So you can expect it this year, 2021. So before the year is out.
Awesome.
Yes. The book is called Lily Miss. And so growing up, my mom would call me Little Miss. Just her, we didn't really have nicknames, but that was kind of her pet name for me.
Okay.
So Little Miss became Lily Miss. And I've always loved kids. So I taught for several years and just always gravitate to like children's church and just, being around the kids there. So I love to read. My passion for reading started when I was
Mm.
little. So I wanted to write a book that I felt like little kids like me, well, like I used to be, although I am still a little kid on
That's right.
there,
The little
would
kid
really
goes
want to
nowhere.
would want to read and connect with. It's about a
Mm.
little brown skinned girl, who looks like many African American little girls. Her parents are African American, and just setting that positive example through Lily Miss and how she basically learns how to do something that's helpful for not just herself but to the environment. So I'm not a big like environmentalist. I never thought I'd write this book where this little girl is trying to, save the trees. But it just spoke to me. It's like, okay, I'm going to do something larger than myself. And for a little
Mm.
child, something larger than yourself is this big tree. Um, so it'll be out a little bit later this year. And I'm excited about it. I've written several children's books, but this will be the first one that I'm actually releasing. So I've released
Oh, wow.
I released a poetry book. And then I released a nonfiction book for teen girls, and now it'll be the book for kiddos.
Nice. And I just love, Ty, that you have a heart for the young folk and getting them involved in speaking life into them, and really utilizing everything you've gone through in order to pour back and give back. And I think as artists, it's very important that we use our platforms to do that in whatever shape and form that looks like. It might not necessarily be poetry, but it could be the speaking engagements, it can be the books, it can be workshops. And you've taken it a step further. You have an initiative called Rise, which I love. Rise Up and the RISE all have different meanings. So the R stands for respect, the I is integrity, the S is self esteem, and the E is education. So this is a program that exists to foster creative writing and character in upper elementary school students, which I love. Share with my listeners more about this program that you started. And if anyone's interested, I don't know if you're doing it virtually or if it's only just catered to the California area, but just please don't hold back any information because we don't know who's on. So if you can talk to me about the program, how it got started, and how people can get their children registered if they want to be a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was working at the Carver Museum in Dothan, Alabama, and we basically had people come into the museum for tours. A lot of those were schools that brought in their students. And then I would go to
Okay.
the schools and talk to them about Dr. Carver and just all of the great scientists and inventors and explorers that exist that a lot of people had never heard of. So while I was working there, and I'm like, man, I'm giving these kids all this information. I would love to have something where I'm talking about creative writing and rapping and
Mm.
how to use those gifts and show them how to, use that ability to write to create
Mm-hmm.
these types of artistry. And so while I was working at the Carver, I would have some downtime every now and then. And I remember my good friend, who was also the director of the Carver Museum, was like, use this time to write, to like work on something. Like any downtime you have, I don't care, girl, write a book. So that's where Lily Miss came from, working there.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
so I was like, I'm going to write this curriculum. Yeah, I have a education background. And so I was like, okay, I've never written a curriculum, but I know what a curriculum is, you know, it's an outline of what we're going to do. And so I wrote the curriculum for Rise Up, and I wanted to make sure that it included those foundational things of respect, integrity, self-esteem,
Mm,
education, because I didn't just want it to be creative writing, just random writing. I wanted it to have, you know, focus and direction. Yes, we're going to talk about rapping. Yes, we're going to learn how to write poetry. We're going to go over all these different forms of poetry. We're going to, you know, learn the specifics of how to write a poem and what it entails. But I also wanted to make sure that
mm,
these kids got the lessons out of them, you know, so it's a 9-week
yeah.
curriculum. Every week you're talking about respect. So you're writing a poem that has to do with respect. You're writing a rap that has to do with respect. And just drilling in the
Mm,
importance of having respect while we're creating these things that we create. And so it's a 9-week program. I have been doing it virtually, which has been really, really cool. And so I meet with my students once a week.
oh,
It
nice.
is one-on-one. I thought about doing a group, but I was like, I like
Oh,
those
nice.
really intimate connections, because the girls, and I've had girls so far, it hasn't been any boys, so anyone wants to put their boy, but the girls have been a little more introverted. So it's like,
Yeah,
it's been
yeah.
nice to have that one-on-one time to like really pull out what's in them, and to watch them grow in the 9 weeks. Because the first week or two, they're, you know, figuring out who I am. I'm getting to know them. But by like
Mm-hmm.
that third week, it's like, okay, we're meeting for 30 minutes to an hour, depending on, you know, the selection that their parents make. And we're writing from the very first day, we're writing. And to watch their skills
Awesome.
build. And it's like they're learning what a haiku is. And then we're breaking down stanzas, and, you know, we're
Nice.
breaking down bars. How do you write like what goes into learning how to rap? You know? So yeah, it's been really cool. I've been doing it since last year, since right around the time of the pandemic. It
Oh, nice.
became virtual. But there were some two schools actually that had been doing it in their classrooms prior to that. But I wasn't involved. I just, you know, they paid me for the curriculum. So it's been really cool to teach what I wrote.
Nice.
You know, now I get to actually be hands
Yeah,
on with it. And so I've learned a lot, and just, you know, really been developing it more as I go, and kind of leaning into, I try to make it specialized. So I learn things about the kids before they start, and just really lean into, if they say they're better at rapping, then we'll do some rap. But I also want to see how much of the poetry I can pull out of you, because a lot of times we
that's
just
right.
don't know what we can do. We think we're good at
Right.
this. Then it's like, oh, I am really good at that too. So I guess I'm trying to replicate
Yes.
some poet and rappers in one.
Hey, all the more, all the better.
Yeah. So
You have a plethora of no, go
oh,
ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, to get information about the program, it's on my website,
Yes.
tyscottking.com. So there is a link for Rise Up on there. If for some reason you can't find it,
Okay.
there's a contact me link on there as well.
And the good thing about it, Ty, like people who would have wanted to do this, and maybe you were doing it well, you started last year. So you started in the era of the pandemic, because I was about to say, if you had started earlier and only had it dedicated to California, now due to the pandemic, anyone could be sitting anywhere. So I think it's wonderful that anybody could be anywhere and be able to get their children involved. And what I love is the fact that there's so many artists that are doing things like this, which is really good. I have done workshops a lot in the past. I just hadn't done any workshops since being in Atlanta, and then only being here 3 years, and the pandemic hitting last year, 2 years ago, I kicked off, not 2 years actually, I'm sorry, last year, January, I was really looking forward to my book release and had already started the book tour and had to pull
Mhm.
back because of the pandemic. But I just
Remember
really
that.
felt like I was, yeah, getting my footing in Atlanta to do more and to bring more workshop work into the city that I've done in Greenville. So I say to my listeners, if you have young people, young kids, or you have nephews or nieces, it's always just important to cultivate their education and supplement it with something outside of school that can allow them to express themselves. You and I both know that there are not many school programs. I mean, it's probably more than what it used to be,
Hmm.
but just to have someone that's well respected in the community like yourself that is hosting and literally you are the one that's doing the work with these kids one on one, like that is amazing. And that is what sets it all apart, to learn straight from an artist who has a plethora of information and experience. Like your range is extremely wide and broad, and you've been doing this for a very long time. You did not start yesterday, you know. So with a lot of what you have gone through, and like myself, you have seen your art grow over the years. You've seen technology grow over the years. What advice do you have for young artists that they may be focused so much on getting their numbers up? They may be more focused on the marketing. I gotta have the coolest videos. I gotta have the this and that. Yeah, there is a pull from technology and from how things are marketed that was different from when you and I was doing it. What advice would you give an artist as it relates to that?
Yeah, to really focus on honing your craft, because you can have all of these things and it looks so beautiful, but if
Hmm.
you haven't invested the time in learning your stuff, so that, like, I've been at video shoots where people are like, I've shot other artists who didn't even know their words. Like, they paid for a whole video
Right.
shoot and came here
Right.
and didn't know their words. And with no greater love,
Crazy.
I'm gonna be honest, that that's not a new song to me. Like, Aaron J and I, we wrote that song many years ago. We've done it live, I've done it all over. But because of where I was in my head, having recently lost my mom, like right before, and going to her memorial
Mm,
service like days before shooting that video, I felt like that was the video that I was the least prepared for mentally. So there were a lot of times where I was like,
yeah.
yeah, my words, I messed up more than I was used to. But I had a lot of grace because
Mm,
my team was amazing, right? But there have been artists or
yeah.
filmmakers that I've worked with, and they're like, this person was, and they're like, I've worked with this particular artist several times, and they never know their words. I mean, every line is like, oops,
That's
oops, oops.
crazy.
So be prepared, really, really be serious about developing the gift that you have, because one thing I always appreciate is getting invited back somewhere. I always say it's great when you get
Yes.
invited once, but to get invited back, that's to me an even bigger deal, because they saw something in you that they loved so
Yes.
much that they wanted you to come back and share that again. And I'm not saying, you have to be perfect. What I am saying is be prepared, be as prepared as you possibly can be. And if all of your time is invested into making sure that the image looks good, it's hard to use that time to get really prepared. So, and then also be true to who you feel like God made you to be. All those years ago, I could have listened to that person who was and is still very influential, who was like, yeah, Ty, rapping ain't really your thing. But there was something in me that knew I may not be like the Lauryn Hill of this thing, but
Mhm.
I've got something here. There was like
Yes.
I believe that God had led me in that direction. and I believed it enough. And I had people around me who believed it enough to pour into me and help me to elevate in that gift. So really know who you are, because if you don't, people for the better and for the worse will try to change you. You know, they'll think that they're giving you good advice, like, no, don't do that, go this way. But once you have that God confidence, you know God told you to do
Yes.
something, that changes so much. And people can't
Yes.
stare you here and there, because Christian industry, gospel industry, secular industry, whatever, people are
Yep.
people, and they will naturally try to, you know, direct you unless you have a good level of self God-given direction. So be prepared, know who you are, and you know, just really try to enjoy the experiences. Like I've been a
Yeah.
lot of places. I've ministered at the Pentagon. I've ministered at the Potter's House, but I've also literally ministered in the projects on the concrete where there were no speakers set up
Yes.
and no one could give me anything. It was just me being
Yes.
there to pour out. And so be open to, you know, the big and the little. Big and both of those are in quotations, because nothing is really bigger than anything else. You know, so
Mm.
be prepared to pour out wherever God sends you. Be humble. Be humble. Be humble.
Yes.
People remember
Yes.
humility. People like to work with people who they
Yes.
feel like aren't just, oh, give me my blue M&Ms. And I'm not saying you can't have blue M&Ms in your green room. I'm just saying it's the way you ask for the blue M&Ms. Like, if they say I can't give you blue M&Ms, don't go crazy. Like, I have a contract. I have an
Right.
honorarium. But one thing I've had on that contract since we were in the group and we made our very first contract was, this is our honorarium. If you can't afford this, what can you do? Tell us and we'll make the decision if we feel like, yes, we still want to do it. And that was 2002. It's now 2021, and that line is still on my contract, and I will never take it off, regardless of how many people have told me it's crazy to put it in the hands of other people. But I remember Canton Jones said to me once, I said, what do you do if they can't really pay you? And he's like, I go anyway. If God tells you that you're
Mm.
supposed to go, go anyway. And so, you know, for that
Mm.
artist who is wanting a platform and wanting all these things that are great, you know, be humble, be prepared, know who you are, um, be willing to go into spaces that aren't always the big space you think you deserve, um, and just trust God. Trust God, because He'll, in those little
Yes.
spaces, I've met amazing people who have changed my life.
Yes.
So, and then I've been in big spaces where it was like nothing else came from that, you know. So
Yeah.
it's just be open to be a blessing wherever God sends you.
That's awesome. I love it. That's so rich. And I just hope anyone that's listening really listened, because that's real. That's so, and I can attest to everything this sister has said tonight. Everything. And at the end of the day, if this is really truly your gift and you love to minister unto God and do it unto God and not unto man, then a lot of those things should not be barriers. Because if it's in your heart to love on people the way that God loves on you, it should not be a barrier.
Yeah. One of the first scriptures I learned and I did, or kind of heard about, and this was as a brand new Christian, I wasn't looking for it in the Bible, nothing. But I
Hmm.
even remember where I was when I saw the scripture, and it said that your gift will make room for you.
Will make
And
room for you.
I've I've lived that a million times over at this
Yes.
point. Your gift makes room for you. Like, I've been places where everybody's like,
Yes.
oh my God, that's Ty. Oh my God, that's Flattened Souls. Like, everybody knows you. And it's just like kind of crazy. And then literally the next week, gone somewhere, and they're like, no, you can't go back there. That's for the artist. And it's like, okay, do you see this flyer right here? That's That's my picture. I am the artist. Like, can I go back here?
Yeah,
But I feel
wow.
like God did that really early on to show me, like, from one place to another,
Mm,
I'm taking you there, and I don't want you to have an ego. I just be humble. Like
mm.
he made me be humble, because I was like, my pride was all over the place. Like, wait a minute, I was just in such and such with 3,000 people, and everybody knew my name, and here you're like, oh, Ty, who is Ty? They're looking for some dude or something. I'm like, that's me. So yeah, your gift will make room for you, not you puffing yourself up, not you demanding the platform. Because you can do
Mm,
that and get it, but
mm.
can you sustain that?
Yep.
Will they invite you back? Don't be a jerk.
Mm,
I
mm.
think that's the moral of the story. Don't be a jerk.
Don't be a jerk. Right.
Don't act like you gave yourself this gift. God gave it to you, and
That's right. That's
the
right.
gift that He gave you will make room for you. I'm not saying don't be like, this is who I am, and
Yes.
have confidence in who you are, but at the same time, we have to definitely check our egos and remember God gives
Yes.
and He could easily take away. So I know one time I had to minister somewhere and I had no voice. Like, this was the only time I'd ever lost my voice in the 20 something years that I've been doing this as ministry. I couldn't say anything, and nothing came out until we got on that stage. And I was like, thank you, Jesus, because
Yes.
I
Wow.
couldn't get, I couldn't make myself have the voice. So,
Right.
just constant reminders that He's God. We're not. These gifts are
Mm-hmm.
His, and just be ready
Yes.
to
Yes,
use them.
indeed.
But also, don't let anybody be like punking you with finances, and this is the Lord's gift. You shouldn't be charging. Well, if somebody's acting like that, that might not be the opportunity that you should take.
Right.
So
Exactly.
be wise and pray and use wisdom, because
Yes. Yeah.
I've been to the Potter's house, but such and such place may not be able to pay me what the Potter's house paid me. But if I feel like God is sending me there, then
Right.
I'll say okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This has been such a treat for me, Ty. Thank you so much just for sharing. And the conversation has just been dope. Y'all, we had a dope conversation before we had the conversation. So I'm grateful to God for you taking out the time to talk with me today and for my listeners to experience who you are, just a small token of who you are. I mean, this sister is bad. She is bad and she is all of that. And I'm going
I
to
tip
boast
my hat
unto
to you,
her.
Chicky. Tip my hat.
I,
You talk about me having a voice, your voice. Ooh, that baritone. Yes.
listen, I appreciate artists like you. I mean, I could talk to you all day. I don't think as long as I have been doing this time, not that you're gonna go back and listen to every video, but I've never gone over an hour with anybody. But I really just feel like I can go another hour with you because you're a wealth of information, but just your heart and your spirit is beautiful. So I just hope that people who took out the time to listen, and even the people that go and listen to the replay will definitely get what they need out of this and support. This sister is amazing. So you can, of course, she's on all social media platforms. If you go to Ty Scott, and I've had it at the bottom of this interview tonight, tyscottking.com, you can just go right to her Facebook and her Twitter and her YouTube and her SoundCloud and purchase her CDs, look at the things she's done, and just follow her, be inspired. I mean, she has a lot of wonderful things to say. But Ty, once again, thank you, thank you, thank you for being a guest tonight on Let's Talk Artist to Artist. This has been great for me.
Thank you so much, Chicky. It's been great for me too.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank y'all
So
for
yeah,
watching, everybody who watched, everybody who's going to listen and watch on the replay. I appreciate you guys. I like people, so hit me up on, I like
yes,
people in doses. So hit me up on
yes.
Instagram. or Facebook or Twitter or whatever. I'm an artist, you know.
Yes,
Sometimes I just need to retreat into my cave. You
that's
guys,
right.
yeah,
That's right.
you get
I totally get it. All right. Well, God bless and good night. And I hope you all have enjoyed Let's Talk Artist to Artist with Ty Scott King. God bless. Take care.
it.